Unpack the newly elected leadership of the EFF, we now speak to Thabo Shole-Mashao. He is an independent political commentator and he joins us now via our telephone line. Thabo, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. I mean, it wouldn't be okay for me to not start off here. Maybe you can just give us an insight in terms of the position of Mbuyiseni Ndlozi within the EFF. And many were wondering that maybe he might just show up at the MK Party's rally, but we still didn't get a glimpse of Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. Maybe give us an insight there first.
Yeah, Mbali, good evening to you and good evening to the viewers. I think Mbuyiseni Ndlozi is playing his cards very close to his chest, and this is a very strategic game, and he knows that if he comes out too early, like a snake from a hole, he may just be hit hard over the head. But also, if he comes out too late, he'll become irrelevant. People will become very disturbed that he's not talking, and it will become mundane at some point that he's not talking, there's no position, and the world will move on without him. But the point that Julius Malema made was very important, that no one is indispensable, and no one is bigger than any other party. If Nelson Mandela could leave his party, well, not leave, but then leave the leadership of his party and move on. No single politician is bigger than any other party. But it must be said, his silence for now is truly hurting the EFF, and the EFF will bleed for a couple of days, if not weeks, due to his silence.
And Thabo, last night we saw the leadership of the EFF being elected uncontested, all top six positions. And of course, when it comes to some of the predictions that were made, it seems as if some media houses were quite spot on in terms of the kind of top six that we would have seen being elected in the EFF. What do you make of the newly elected top six?
I think Julius Malema is consolidating power. He wants people who are loyal to him. He wants the next 2 years to have stability in the party. He didn't take chances. He did not want to flirt or throw caution where it doesn't belong. But he wanted to be very decisive, handpick his lieutenants, his loyalists, and those who will stand firm by his side so as not to experience another leadership exodus in the EFF. We do know that Gadrich Body is a loyalist of Malema to the hill. So as a result, he's right next to him. He'll take instructions from him and obviously deduce his responsibility from the office of the president as his deputy. Also, and lastly, in this way, we do know that there was no contestation because clearly going to conference, Malema must have done his homework to make sure that there's no embarrassment, except for that one lady that we all saw, and it seemed comical instead of serious.
And Thabo, speaking about Godrich Gadi and you saying that he is a loyalist to Julius Malema, and it takes me back to the Second National People's Assembly of the EFF, where in fact, Godrich Gadi was left out in the cold and he didn't even assume a position at the top six, or nor did he even get a position on the CCT, only later being, brought back into the CCT. Why do you think this time around it seems as if, he has become a loyalist, even though it seems as if he was punished in the last conference?
But that's what makes you a loyalist in Bali, and that's what loyalty is determined by, a barometer of punishment, of absence, and of taking blows on the face. Despite all of that, he stayed loyal to Julius Malema. Despite being out in the cold and being punished and being removed from the most important position of Secretary General, he was still there for Julius Malema through and through. And that's how his loyalty was determined. Because he was out in the wilderness, he could have easily left, gone anywhere else, or even the private sector and never returned. But he stood by his side. And that made him someone to rely on, especially for Julius at these tumultuous and trying times of Jimmy Mani, Floyd Chivambo, and many others, including the advocate who left recently. So I suspect that the fact that he was treated so bad and he didn't run away, that on its own has given surety to the leadership that he needs to be back in the fold.
And also, Thabo, looking at the leadership of the EFF, another one who was out in the wilderness, as you say, is Leanne Matthys, and she was recently brought back into the fold as the national spokesperson of the EFF, and she used to be the Treasurer General of the EFF, and now assuming once again another top position in the party. What do you make of her return to the top six in the EFF?
She was a spokesperson of recent, and she was holding guard at the door of the EFF as the media tried to get in, and she was very firm, pushing away any obstructions that may be moving people away from the core agenda of the EFF, and there were issues with her as well, with some members internally that we remember. And I think by her also standing firm and not moving has given Julius that determination. I mean, recently on the EFF podcast, she interviewed Julius Malema about Floyd Shivambu and asked some hard questions. I think that time has brought them a little bit closer, and there is no better way of determining whether someone is with you or not, especially when they have an opportunity to walk away and they can be with someone else and still choose to be with you. I think that is a test of time. So I think Julius again has gone to his old playbook to see what worked initially, and now he's reintroducing that and saying perhaps he might have deviated along the way. Now it's time to go back to the basics, go back to those who were there right at the beginning and call on them to solidify the EFF.
Are you faced to the top six, Thabo? Nontando Noluchungu, part of the top six. What is she bringing different to this EFF?
I suspect nothing as much, but of course it's very early to tell. We do know that Veronica Mento was the chair, and she was dignified in that position. And also, I'm wondering whether we'll see her leaving as a result. But I think it's too early to tell for Nolutando. But I think also Julius in this instance is not taking any chances. There's no way that he would bring in someone in that important position who is going to be challenging him, who's going to likely leave, but also embarrass the party in any other way. I think it's a safe bet. He's playing his cards very safely. He's not risking anything. And he's saying, let's go through the wind, the political storm, and then that's when we'll start experimenting. This says that there's no time to experiment. We need to consolidate and move on with the people that can be trusted. And I think for anything else, it's just maybe a telling time for the EFF right now as to whether it will make it or it will fail dismally, especially ahead of the 2026 local government elections. But
all right, Thabo, thank you so much for your time. That is Thabo Shole-Mashao, independent political commentator. They're talking to us about the new leadership of the EFF. Of course, Julius Malema retaining his position as a party president, Deputy President Godridge Gadi, Secretary General Marshall Dlamini, Deputy Secretary General Leanne Matthys, Chairperson of the EFF Nontando Noluchungu, and Treasurer Omphile Mautwe.